If I was to ask you to name a famous ship from history, I'm guessing that 99.9% of you would say the RMS Titanic. And that's fair enough, yeah? The disaster and the great loss of life surrounding it has become stuff of legend. And it's to the point now where I think even children could give you a rough idea of what happened on April 15th, 1912. There is, however, some... How should we say this? Interesting people who seem to think that the Titanic didn't sink at all, that she was swapped with another ship as part of some grandiose insurance job. Yeah, this is stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Titanic and Olympic switch theory. Is it based in fact, or is it tinfoil hat? Okay then, let's get into this acid trip. Now, believe it or not, right, this doesn't actually start with the Titanic. It actually all stems from a collision between the RMS Olympic, Titanic's sister ship, and the Navy warship, the HMS Hawke. Now, you may be thinking, how does a warship hit a 900-foot ocean liner? If you saw the Olympic coming up on you, you're not going to miss it, right? She was a big old girl. While I don't have all the details on how this occurred, the general gist of it was, as the Olympic was leaving Southampton to go on over to Cherbourg to pick up more passengers, the HMS Hawke has come up on her stern, everything's gone tits up, and it's literally gone straight up her arse. There is a few rumblings that there was an issue with the steering on the HMS Hawke, but that's not been confirmed. What we do know is this is the result of that collision. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you ram a warship into a 48,000 gross registered ton ocean liner. It's not pretty, is it? However, it's not catastrophic. If that was a Vauxhall Corsa, yes, it would be a write-off. But the Olympic isn't a Vauxhall Corsa. While it may look absolutely devastating, that was not enough to write off the Olympic. It was actually repaired and put back into service, as was the HMS Hawke, believe it or not. Like, straight up now, this happened in 1911. The Olympic was scrapped in 1935. So, yeah, whatever the damage, they seem to do a pretty good job repairing it. Didn't seem to affect it for the next 2 decades, did it? Despite this, though, the conspiracy theorists would have you believe, and let me just point out, I am a conspiracy theorist. All right, if it's got some truth in it, I will bite. But this, nah, I just can't. Anyway, yes, despite being repaired and being put back into service, etc., they would have you believe that she was just too far gone. So far gone, in fact, that the only way to get any money back from this disastrous collision would be to simply swap the Titanic with the Olympic, sink the damaged Olympic under the name of Titanic, and claim on the insurance money. There's a lot wrong with this. Hey, Dave, do us a favour, lad. We've got the Olympic in, she's damaged. Just go and scrape the name off her, write Titanic on that, and write Olympic on Titanic. Yeah, there's a good lad. Cheers, we'll have a pint later. It's just, even that isn't simple. We'll get into it, alright. Yeah, that is basically how this theory came about. I know it's a little bit long-winded, but I'd rather you have all the details so you can make your own judgment on it, really. But yes, for the rest of the video, we're going to tear it apart, and it's so easily done. Let's start off with the obvious one. The ships looked the same, they was identical, so it was literally just a case of changing the nameplates on them. I'm going to tell you something here now, right? The Titanic and Olympic were not identical. And it's obvious as well when you look at them. Up on your screen now is the Titanic, right? And this section here, which I'm going to highlight, that is the B-deck promenade, okay? On the Olympic, that is literally just a promenade deck, okay? And you'll notice that on the Titanic, right here, all the windows are unevenly spaced. I don't know why I'm pointing. I'm just pointing at my screen. All the windows are unevenly spaced, okay? That is because on the Titanic, they were an extension of the first class cabins. Whereas on the Olympic, which I've just brought up now, that was a sheltered promenade deck. Yeah? And you can see the difference. Look how evenly spaced they are on the Olympic. The Titanic looks like it was done on a Friday. The Olympic, nice and evenly spaced. One more time. The Titanic, uneven. The Olympic, nice and even. See what I'm saying? Perfect. Of course you can. It wasn't just the first class staterooms on B deck as well. The Titanic had the Café Parisien, which the don't know what that was, which the Olympic didn't get until she had it added later on in her career. So yeah. Now, the other major differences you can see is the A deck promenade. Now, this is the most obvious. If you look on the Olympic here, again, I'm doing 14 finger signals. Just ignore them. She is open all the way down. All the way down. Big open promenade. However, if you look on the Titanic, she's actually covered in. And these details are there on the wreck. Now, yes, it's harder to see the window spacing because of the rusticals. But things like the A-deck promenade is still there. It is still there. Now, some would argue that early photos of the Titanic showed her in the same configuration as the Olympic, i.e. they don't have the covers on the A-deck promenade. That's true. But they was added before she even left the yard, before she even left Harland and Wolff. When Titanic went on her maiden voyage and when she sank, she had them covers on A-deck. Okay, beautiful. We've got that covered. Back to Dave and his nameplate changing over. Yeah, they didn't have nameplates. The Titanic and Olympic did not have nameplates on the bow. Okay, the letters were engraved into the steel. So it wouldn't be a case of just unbolting letters and switching them over. They were engraved into the steel. And there is actually footage of the Titanic's name engraved into the hull on the wreck. I'll see if I can find it. I do struggle to find that because I've watched it lots and lots of times because I'm a very sad human being. But yeah, it is there. You can see Titanic on the wreck. It's case closed on that one, ladies and gentlemen. They just weren't identical. And it wasn't a case of just simply swapping over a few things and they looked the same. No, there was a lot more to it than that. Now, we can get further as well if you want. Every single bit of paneling, every single bit of machinery, everything on the Titanic and Olympic was stamped with a yard number. Before they was even called Titanic and Olympic, they was all stamped with a number. Now, the Olympic was 400. The Titanic, can you guess what it is? That's right, you at the back, 401. Can you imagine being the poor sod that'd have to swap all of that over? And you know what, to be honest, I don't even think the ships were together long enough for something like that to be feasible. There was just no time. Well, yeah, we have actually got parts from the Olympic as well with the 400 yard number stamped on it. When she was scrapped, they actually removed all the expensive fixtures and fittings and auctioned them off. From my knowledge, there was a paint factory in Holtwhistle, which was pretty much built out of the Olympic. The windows, the deck boards, I think the cafeteria was a first-class smoking room. And when they demolished that, they auctioned off all the parts from the Olympic. There's pictures of it with the yard number on it. The White Swan Hotel in Alnwick, can't pronounce it, whatever that is. Their dining room is the first class lounge off the Olympic. The evidence is there. We've got actual parts from the Olympic. What can you say to that, really? And just before we move off of this, these are the latest 3D scans made by Magellan TV. Fantastic. And I hope they release them to the public for us to have a look at them soon. They are stunning. This is a scan of the Titanic's propeller. And can you see that number? What's on it there? Aye, what does that say? All right, yeah, 401. It's funny that, isn't it? Yeah, this whole theory does not hold water at all. And I can actually put one more nail in the coffin. If the Titanic was an insurance job, why was she underinsured? Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Anyway, yes, this has been great fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. First video on the channel. To all of those who have come over from the old channel, thank you very much. For all of you new people, we will be having more content soon.